Fellow managers, with the roller coaster that has been the first 3 Cantos, I had no idea what would come next, and if I could handle more of the edge of the seat experience that the Cromer fight was in the end of Canto 3. So it was with high anticipation that I stepped into the first true Intervallo that the game had to offer. Would it meet my expectations, or would it fall short of even the lows of Canto 2? And that's what we'll answer today. Now, the first thing I want to point out after finally playing a proper named Intervallo is that Canto 2, with all of its antics, definitely felt more like an Intervallo. But also, I had a viewer comment something about Canto 2 that might have me circle back and do a whole nother video on that one, so keep your eyes open for that. However, when it comes to the Intervallo itself, I didn't think I would ever play a game where Colonel Sanders went mad and glued a chicken to his head, and then went on a murder spree with an army of plucked chickens, that's for sure. The proper introduction of the K-Corp employee Samjo to put a face to the group that saved you at the end of the last Canto is a nice segue into what comes at you in the next Canto. And guys, most of you know the scene, but just the general bonding that happens there was top-notch, but let's not bring that part up here. For those of you that have been here from the beginning of my journey through Limbus Company, you know that I love the horror aspect in this game, and while the Intervallo does not disappoint, it's not my favorite type of horror. The combination of invasions of the body snatchers and Thanksgiving was not even something I thought I would see, along with the whole premise of the Intervallo in the first place. And while it added to the bonding of the sinners and made me laugh, I shouldn't laugh at an attempt of horror. I mean, I've grown to plenty of horror movies and books. Looking at you, you and your horrible scene with the Losers Club sharing each other. But with that being said, did this ruin the Intervallo? No, not at all. Even if it did not have a good horror aspect, it did help a lot with the game lore, letting you know that even in a world so dark with so many problems around every corner, something unexpectedly funny can happen. I mean, the section where Heathcliff gets his head captured by one of the foul creatures turns into a moment of gold in this section of the game. While to me the horror being turned down in this section of the game was the low point that it is, honestly, that's just due to personal preference. However, one thing that gets introduced here is done in such a flippant way without truly explaining the rules to it that it literally blows my mind. In this world of distorting humans, where abnormalities are around every corner that you can use to power your city with if you can just keep them in egg form, the most accidentally powerful thing in this game, it's not the mirrors or the healing bullets, it's this damn concept incinerator. Now I know they explain it further in the further cantos, and it has more rules added to it. However, it was introduced with a throw thing in, that concept no longer exists motif. It's used in the silliest way in this Intervallo by erasing the world's greatest chicken recipe to wipe out the competition that KFC was given to Bojangles here. But seriously, in other fictions where concept erasure is a thing, it's either through battle, i.e. Chainsaw Man, or it has other drawbacks. What would happen if, say, someone threw the blueprints of Mephi into this thing? Do we just lose our bus? The first blueprint of a gun, the concept of the city itself. The implications upon first discovering this thing were just insane at this point. Now, what would I have done different given the chance? Well, either fully explain it from the point it's introduced to the end of the Intervallo, or at least point out how it works more clearly. We literally have Faust and Marisol here, who seem to be the knowledgeable people in all topics already. They could have done it. One thing that I found interesting was something most of you that came from older games probably already knew about, and that is this is the first time we come across distortions in a way that the game is willing to describe them. Honestly, people distorting into monstrosities is very Limbus Company, and adds an interesting and extra threat to a city already overflowing with things that are willing to try and take you out. Okay, I get it, you probably think I'm not a fan of this Intervallo at this point, but you'd be so far from the truth. I just figured I would wade through all the meh to get to the awesome. Everything that I haven't mentioned, and even the things that I have hinted at, made this section of the game so damn good and massively memorable. The key happy moment was when Gordon Ramsay came running in, split the sinners into 2 teams, and started handing out blue and red aprons so that we could have our very own Limbus Company inspired episode of Hell's Kitchen. The judge replaced, no longer do we have a pissed off Brit. In his place is an angry baseball mascot who has minor amnesia due to that damn concept incinerator. The constant waves of chickens that give the sinners more and more ingredients to try to pass the taste test of Major Clucks here is like a wave of zergs coming at you. The constant banter and slow growing rivalry of the sinners comes to a head when we find out that only 2 of the sinners can actually cook, and that is Marisol and Ryoshu. While everyone else serves food that would either poison you, proving that one of our sinners at least is not Irish, or is just military gruel. Again, the way the story runs is you are asked by the true villain of the Intervallo, the owner of the competing chicken store, Clucks or whatever it's called, to go take out the Distortion guy who owns his rival company, along with the flashbacks, understanding that Colonel Sanders started his business as a tribute to his mother, and realizing that he would rather make other foods, even gave him a nice story arc. And last but not least, the very slow realization the Distortion was the good guy all along, freeing him from his distortion and proving that the original client was the bad guy all along was a nice enough twist for what could have just been straightforward go take out the monster guy storyline. Managers, I have finally come to understand the difference between Cantos and Intervallos, and honestly, I love it. The Cantos focus more on one sinner with small cues for the other sinners and La Creature, whereas the Intervallos allow the sinners to interact in some crazy or zany way that allows you to just be part of their world and to understand what kind of people they would be if they were, in the real world. The way they build up the story of every sinner is great in a way that I just can't stop talking about. But I'm going to have to, or else the video will never end. When it comes to the main game, I definitely have to say that the Intervallo was better than Canto 2. But with the thought that Canto 2 was a precursor to Intervallos, it gives me a newfound respect for it. And when it comes right down to it, respect for this game is something you guys in the community have really taught me so much. So far, you're the best community I've ever found, so let's continue to grow our community by going ahead and subscribing to the channel, so you can see when we go live, and liking the video if you enjoyed my take on this Intervallo. We have so many ways you can become part of this community, like joining either the Discord or our membership program. With that being said though, guys, like always, be good to each other. See you in the next video. Peace.